All right. Welcome back to DMI 15.4. DMI 15.4. We're going to have a good time. I am, okay. We're actually starting off what is probably my favorite part about this whole thing, okay. Excuse my nose, maybe a little bit nasal because I'm a little under the weather. Nonetheless, I'm going to I'm going to deliver, okay. Welcome back. Today we're talking about performance metrics. We're talking about performance metrics. All right. What is metrics? What is performance? Well, basically, we want to be able to measure our progress. We want to track and measure our progress as we're going through any type of digital marketing endeavor. You want to be able to track everything. Um, One of the things that I'm very particular about is the acronym SMART goals, right? So SMART goals, the acronym SMART goals, SMART goals. I always remind people about this and everything. It's in the book. Make sure you are reading the book. It's very important to read the book. Okay. What does SMART goals stand for? Wait, why am I seeing all this? It used to be on the front end. Anyway, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Particularly measurable. We want to be able to measure what we're up to. Okay, we want to be able to track it, not after wasting money, not after wasting, even worse, time and energy. Right? We want to be able to track our activities and how they're translating to results. Okay, so we have SMART goals. The M stands for measurable. Okay. The other aspect of this that I always like to spell out as well is, you know, is the T part of it, which stands for time bound. In reality, nothing is really lifetime. You know, we should put a time frame on our measurement. And also, another thing I always like to make sure people understand is if you are measuring over a lifetime, you're not paying attention. If all you do is measure over a lifetime, you're not paying attention to the short term changes. Changes is the only thing that's constant. So for example, in our metrics, you're going to see that we will use certain time frames in our measurements. Okay. Sometimes you see 7 days. Sometimes you see 28 days. Sometimes you see 90 days. Okay. I'm okay with everything from 7 days to 90 days. If you're looking at lifetime, it only tells you how far you've gone in the business. It's not telling you how you are performing. And today we're talking about performance metrics. Okay. So when you say performance, you also want to, there's something that always comes to mind with respect to what? All right. This is a phrase that you always want to pay attention to. With respect to what? Another way of looking at that is percentages, right? We measure things in percentages. Linear numbers are just that, just numbers. But percentages give you an idea of a performance with respect to a baseline. Okay, so another terminology is baseline. Okay, you're going to see that a lot. Okay, especially when we start to get to the next class here, digital marketing analytics, right? But the baseline is essentially like a base number that we tend to come back to. So every measurement is ups and downs, right? In life, everything is ups and downs. So even though ultimately it may be going upwards, right? But in order to get upwards, it's usually some kind of higher highs and higher lows. It goes higher, comes back to a little bit higher low, and then like that. Okay. And that's just life in general, right? Let me just show you what I'm talking about so you can higher highs, higher lows. This is ideally what you're looking for. All right, so it's just like a stock, like in the stocks, right? Okay, so this is a good one. So okay, so this is a good one. You can see there's a higher high, higher low, higher high. Ultimately it's going up, but sometimes it retracts back down a little bit. So all your numbers that you're going to be measuring in digital marketing, they will pretty much follow this type of trend. It's just life, right? Because every measurement in life kind of follows that same, that same pattern. Okay. So now, it's not necessarily going to always go up. Sometimes it goes, sometimes it goes up and down. Sometimes it looks like this, right? It looks like an extremely emotional chart, right? That's because this is essentially measuring human behavior, okay? Either in terms of a market or marketing or whatever you want to call it. It's basically human behavior is the input to these graphs. All right, so you're going to see a lot of that. So what's the baseline? So for example, between this area, okay, let me see if I can get that out. Okay, between this area and this area, and this area, the baseline will be when it's touching that line. So the baseline sometimes is like, essentially what you're looking for is a new higher baseline over time, right? But sometimes, it pulls back and you see a bunch of red, right? It just all depends on what you're up to in your business, okay? So that's baseline for you. I just wanted to show you what baseline means, okay? All right. So again, SMART goals, measurable, time bound. We're able to measure our progress, okay? We want to be able to measure our progress and want to measure our results. Progress and results. All right. Why? Because that's how we get better. If you don't do this in your own business, then you are forcing yourself to start looking at other people's performance in their own business. And maybe it's just a different ball game entirely for them. Maybe they have a background that you're not familiar with. You don't want to do that. You want to measure yourself against yourself. Maybe a better way of saying that is you want to measure your own performance, your progress and results against an older version of your progress and results. Okay, so when I say with respect to what are you measuring against? The most basic number that you see people measure in business is return on investment, right? What is return on investment? Return on investment is basically revenue, right, minus investment, right, divided by investment, right, and that's return on investment. So it's basically the difference between the revenue and the initial investment. Let's call it initial investment, right? All right, and we like to see that in percentage, right? It's the same thing. As long as it's a fraction, it comes out as, as a number. You put on percentage, it gives you an idea of how you're performing. But here's the problem. Okay, there's a problem. There's a lot of activities that goes on between initial investment and when you're generating revenue. Like for example, marketing, right? Marketing is taking a lot of investment, not just initially, but over time. So maybe this is not just initial investment. If you're running a real business, it's costing you not just money, it's costing you time, right? It's costing you time. So if it's costing you time, then that means you definitely want to take into account what is your time worth? Yes, in actual US dollars, right? What is your time worth? You want to take that into account. If you're not taking that into account, you're not really in business, okay? you're not really in business. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that right there, right? So now in terms of the actual numbers that we measure, I just basically shared with you why we want to see these numbers, right? Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more into that in a little bit here, but let me just go ahead and put this here. Okay, there's some basic numbers that we look for, right? We look for clicks. Okay, if we're talking about videos, we're looking for views, right? Okay, we're looking for views. All right. So what are clicks? Every time you hear me do that, those are clicks. But when I'm hitting that, sorry if that's bothering you, if I'm hitting that sound, right, that's a click. But because I'm clicking an empty space, it's not really directing me to any new place. Okay, so let's say, for example, I go here and I type in digital marketing certified. That's the name of the book. Let's just use that, right? And I scroll down here, right? And I'm still looking right now. Everything I'm doing right now, what am I doing right now? I'm just browsing, right? Now, before I scrolled all the way down here, right, I could only see so much of this page. So let's talk about that for a second. We need to talk about that for a second. Before there was clicks, right? There was impressions. Sometimes impression is used as impression is used as page view, right? But a page view is a page view. A page view is a little bit different from impression. Impression is the fact that I'm able to see this right now on my screen. Okay, everything below the fold, meaning below this last letter here that says T, has received page view too, right? But it hasn't necessarily received an impression. An impression is the fact that a human being can see it. So it's not really an impression until I scroll down there, right? Okay, but you will see that we reference page view a lot too. Okay, so page view is the fact that the page has loaded. That's what the page has loaded. Doesn't necessarily mean you've seen everything on the page, but it's good to pay attention to it. So you have impression, right? So before someone can click on something, they have to see it first. Okay, so once it becomes an impression, right? If I scroll to it, oh, an impression is created, right? Now when I click into it, right, it redirects me to this page. This page has received a new click, just like that. Does that make sense? This page has received a new click, just like that. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, a click is basically a mouse click. When the mouse is clicked and there's an actual redirect, right? Meaning when I clicked on it, it redirected me to that page. There was a click. Okay, so you can look at this as units of traffic. What do we mean by traffic? There's no cars driving, right? Well, it's called online traffic. Okay, unit of online traffic. So every time you visit a web page, a new online traffic has been created. Okay, if I search for my Empire Pro, right, and the fact that this is showing here, that's the book right there. The fact that this is showing right here is an impression. Okay, that's an impression. Sorry about that. That's an impression right there. All right, so that's an impression created like that. Anytime you can see it on your page, an impression is created. So now when I click into it, boom, now the website has received a new traffic. Okay, and how do we measure that? We measure that in clicks. Okay, now for videos, we call it views, right? So let's go to YouTube. I'm on YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna go on YouTube. All of this, the fact that I'm able to see all of this right now is called impression. Okay, it's called impression. Now, again, one thing comes before the other. Okay, one thing comes before the other. You get an impression first, and then you get a click. Okay, so if I now go ahead and click on the, let's come up with another example. Let's say I search, right? Let's say I search. Let's say I search for, this is one of my platforms, Men of Prestige, right? If I search for that, this has received impressions, just even though I searched. So now the fact that I searched and the fact that I searched and it's showing up on the top page, right? The fact that I can visually see it makes it an impression. But once I click into it, it receives a click, just like that. Okay, just like that. So but for videos, this video is not yet live, right? For videos, that if that was a video that's live already, it will play the video, right? Let's say I go to my video for the business, right? You can see the book right here, right? So this is, again, an impression has been created. If I click on it, that's chapter 4. It becomes a view, just like that. That becomes a view, a unit, right? So that's the unit of the traffic that goes to videos. It's almost like the same thing, okay? But essentially, we need this to happen. It's a redirect. If you're clicking on an empty space and nothing is redirecting, like this white space right here, that's not, there's no traffic there's no brand new traffic, okay, that was created, right? There's no brand new traffic, okay? Now, there's another metric that we will measure. There's many other metrics, right? I'm just talking about the ones that you will notice that we use a lot. And you can actually over measure yourself out of the business. Okay, you can actually get infected with paralysis by analysis. You don't want to overanalyze yourself out of the business. You just need just a little bit, a couple of metrics, okay, between 5 and 7. Okay, anything above 7, you're probably over measuring and you're probably just going to burn yourself up. Okay, the next metric that we look at is leads. Okay, what is leads? Contact information. Okay, all right, just the contact information is not good enough to be leads. It must have been willingly given to you or your business by the, by way of interest. Okay, so without interest, so let's just say contact info with interest. Okay, because then you can go to the internet and say, hey, I'm looking to buy leads, and guess what, there's more than enough people that will buy leads from you. I'm sorry, they will sell you leads, meaning they're just selling you contact information of people, and they can claim that comes from anywhere. They can just make any claim, and oh yeah, this is a lead of people interested in mortgages. Oh yeah, this is a lead of people interested in buying a house, right? But there's no way for you to prove that. There's no way for you to prove that. So I would definitely be very careful when you do. Just in general, you should avoid buying. There are some times that, some reputable sources. I want to be careful with saying that, but for the most part, you want to stay away from buying leads. If you set up your own digital marketing campaign and people, based on their interest, are filling out your form, okay, and they're giving you their contact information, every time they do that, that becomes a new lead. Okay, and you want to measure that lead. Okay, you want to know how many leads are coming into your business every day. The more leads are coming into your business every day, the better. Okay, now depending on your business model as well, but generally you want to try to control this process. Okay, there's some platforms where, or some individuals that will teach you, hey, listen, once somebody engages with your content, that means they're now a lead. No, not necessarily. That's just interest, and you don't really have their contact information. So that means you can't follow up with them. You can't say, I got new piece of content. You can't say, I got this new product, right? But every time you sign up for Wawa, you know Wawa, right? Wawa is the gas station with the shop attached to it, with the convenience store attached to it. They have this app, right? And they give you rewards. The beauty about the app is that they can push rewards to you. That means they can contact you and say, hey, we got this new, what do they call it? The sandwich, right? I forgot the name they call their sandwich that you might want to check out. So it's very important to know the difference. You need contact info plus an interest. Okay, so here's an example in our business, right? If you go to this is just the front page of my Empire Pro. If you go to discovery, which is what people see from Facebook, right? You'll see this page right here, right? What does it say? Insider secrets to getting more traffic, leads, deals, customers, clients, and generating more income and revenue in a digital era. Okay. If I put my email address in there, that's the contact information, but I'm interested in more information about this. I'm interested in getting the book, right? I'm interested in getting the book. If I click that, what does it do? It redirects to a page that tells me to continue the process. Okay. That at that point in time, a lead was generated. Okay. As soon as we enter that that information, a lead was generated. So let's go to Walmart.com. Let's see how Walmart is generating leads. Let's find out, right? Yeah, everybody knows what Walmart is. Maybe you also know what Amazon is, right? So we're on Walmart right now. How are they generating leads? Well, first of all, the brand equity attached to this logo is so much that it's only people that know about Walmart that comes here, right? So that's one right there, okay? So the logo, the fact that this brand on this is a big deal, okay? There's a good chance that you don't have this level of brand, okay? Nonetheless, you better believe it, Walmart is still collecting leads, right? How? Well, let's keep looking, right? If you go up here, what do you see? You see sign in account. This is a lead generation feature, by the way. Okay. The worst case scenario is that you don't have an account. But let's see what happens when I click on it. What does it say? It says create an account. Is this account, does it cost you money? Probably not. Okay, it's free. You can create an account. Name, last name, first name, last name, email address, and a password. They call it, it's a free account, right? It costs them nothing to give you a little space on their website for your account profile. But guess what? They're collecting email address, right? Because they're able to continue to market to you, remarket to you, right? Does that make sense? Let's go look at Amazon.com. These are the biggest retailer online, so it makes sense, right? Same thing, right? You go here, there's an account. You can literally go in there in the account. Same thing. All right, so I just wanted to show you that real quickly. Every online business generates leads, but like I said earlier, everything starts with an impression, and then a click, right? And then leads. Okay. Now, depending on how far depending on what marketing strategy you want to use, right? There may be something before this, but for now, they just keep it this way, right? So ICLS, sales, right? We have sales. Obviously, the whole idea of this is so we can make money. How are you making money? Exactly what are you selling? Are you selling attention? Are you selling content? Are you selling merchandise, right? Or services, right? Right? Are you selling services? Are you selling ad spaces? Okay, so if you're a content creator on YouTube, you're selling ad spaces. Okay, most likely. If you have your own products, merchandise, you're probably selling those merchandise as well, right? So, bottom line is that you're selling something, and of course, we want to measure sales. Why? Why should we measure sales, right? Because we need to be able to afford productivity. Okay. So we need to be able to afford this. We need to be able to afford to keep coming back. So whatever it is that you produce, if you're not making sales, eventually you go broke. You won't be able to do it. It's only a matter of time. So you need to be able to create revenue. Okay, you need to be able to create revenue. If you're not able to create revenue, yeah, that's going to be a problem. You need to be able to create revenue. Because revenue is going to continue to fund the business and hopefully you can scale. Okay, but we're measuring why we want to be able to grow and scale. Okay, we already covered why. Obviously, smart goals are measurable, time bound. The M and the T, that's what it stands for. We always want to measure in percentage. Yes, we measure numbers, but we also want to measure in percentage because we are always measuring against some kind of baseline. Okay, uh, hopefully you are the baseline, like an older version of yourself, right? And obviously, this is how we improve on our progress and getting more results and then return on investment, especially when we start to measure sales, right? Okay. So, why? Because we want to be able to grow and scale. Scale means if you know that every time you put in a dollar, you get $1.10 back, why wouldn't you do more of it? It just makes sense. That's printing money, right? It just makes sense, right? So now I want to show you some real life example. There's some tools that I'm going to log into right now and show you some real life examples. The two most basic tools that we use in this business is Search Console, which is free. It's also Google Analytics. Okay, Google Analytics. Okay, there's some other tools that I use that we will cover later on when we'll start to implement. I just want you to see how this works now. Show you some numbers, some basic. We're just talking about metrics right now. So even the next class, we're probably going to spend some time in Google Analytics. All right, and Search Console as well. Search Console is particularly to measure how many traffic how much is it how much or how many how much traffic Google is sending to search engines are sending to you, particularly Google, right? So it's called the Search Console. So every time I search for let's say maximum allowable MAO calculator, MAO calculator, if I click that, if I go through here, go through here, go through here, I can see we're ranking here. Okay, so I have to scroll down a few steps below and then I can see that one of our websites is ranking here. How did we make that happen? That's for free. You can see there's no ad next to it. It doesn't say ad next to it, right? But anyway, if I click on it, right, it takes us into this part of the website, right? It's just a calculator for real estate professionals, right? So let me see here. So, okay. All right. So it takes me there now, but that traffic came from what? From search engine, from Google search engine for free. So in order for me to be able to measure that, we have to set up our CMS, the customer management software, right? I think CMS, yeah, customer management system, WordPress. You have to set it up on the search console, your website essentially, right? So I'm gonna go into search console and show you what that looks like. All right. Let's see here. Search console. Let's just search from here. Search console, and this is it. It comes right up. Start now. I'm gonna change the account. I'm gonna click on that. Okay. Okay, we can see. So let's go to my Empire Pros website. Boom. All right, so here we go. So it shows me how much traffic is coming from the search engines. Okay, that's why it's called the Search Console. And I can go here. I can go under performance, and in the last 3 months, we've had 831 clicks. That's free clicks coming from the search engines. Okay. Like I said, you can change the time frame. Remember, when we're measuring, we want to measure within certain time bounds. As you can see here, even here, they don't have anything they call lifetime. I typically don't go above 3 months. I don't really need to know the numbers 6 months ago. Your old performance is old. It's useless, right? But you want to see how well you're doing within a certain period of time, right? So I can go to the last 7 days. I can click apply. Okay. Remember what I said earlier? So we're not doing analytics yet. We're not calculating numbers. We're just looking at the basic numbers that will be measured, right? So you have total impressions here. That means the number of time that it actually was visible to someone on the internet. It's 4,620. Okay. Actually, when I hover on it, when you hover, you can discover more, right? 4,615. Now, we're not setting up yet, okay? I'll show you how to set this up in the right training. I just want you to learn this stuff, okay? All right. How many clicks? How many people actually clicked after seeing it, right? 61 people clicked in the last 7 days from the search engines. We have other ways that we market, but this is just additional free, right? So if you think about each click is actually worth a certain amount of money, because clicks become human beings that actually buy, right? If you think about that, how much exactly is each click worth? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Or if you were on YouTube, how much exactly is that worth, right? So that's over 7 days. Over the last 28 days, I typically don't look at 7 days. It's just too much of a short term, doesn't tell me much, right? If I go over the last 28 days, I see 266. That's a whole month. 266 clicks coming. And I can go down here and see which keywords is bringing in those clicks. Okay? 20,000 times has been visible, but only 266 clicks. When you do the math, if you start doing a little bit of analytics, it's 1.3% click-through rate. We're going to start talking about click-through rates next week. Okay? But can I improve this number? If I improve this number, that means I found a way to make the whatever they're seeing, because I know they're seeing it 20,000 times. I find a way to make whatever they see more compelling to want them to click on it. Okay, so over here we can see some metrics here that we measure. This other metric, position, is something we'll look at in another class, search engine optimization. So we'll wait until then. But this is basic. You can see this inside of Search Console. All right, so the other one is Google Analytics. Google Analytics tells you about all sources of traffic, not just search engine traffic. So if I click into here, then I have to change the account again. All right, so we're here, and let me go into my Empire Pro, my Empire Pro, my Empire Pro. All right, so we can see a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to show you around this next week a lot more. I just want you to see the numbers, okay? Okay. Audience, under audience, actually more like under acquisition, overview. Okay. We can see some more data, right? Under all traffic, source and medium. Okay, so here you can see some other metrics. Okay, I'm gonna list it for you right now, but this is useful to come here and see this. Okay, let me see here, audience. Okay. All right, so over here you can see that there's users, there's new users, and there's sessions. What is the difference? Okay, so let's first of all go put that here. Okay, so based on, we know that there's clicks, right? Okay, so now the same user can click multiple times, right? Does that make sense? The same user can click multiple times. Each one of those clicks are measured individually, but there is user, right? So when it comes to user, means an individual that comes to your website, okay? That's an actual person that came to your website. We're not taking into account how many times they actually clicked, right? Now, if you want to just measure the clicks as users, then you will have what we call unique clicks, okay? You're going to see this come up over and over again. You need to learn them, okay? Unique clicks, that means just users, okay? Oh, we can just put that here, unique clicks, okay? So it's clicks, but we only count one per user, okay? Then you have users, right? But then we have sessions, right? We have sessions. Where should we put sessions right now? Sessions can also go over here, right? So how many times have they come to the website at different times, right? The same user, how many sessions? The same users, how many sessions? All the sessions all together, even if you have users came there multiple times. So let's go here, right? So we have users, and then we have new users, right? We have users, and then we have new users, and then we have sessions. Okay, so if you notice here, you see the sessions are slightly more than the users. Why? Because some users come multiple times. Okay, so those are the basic metrics right there. You have user and sessions that you're going to see a lot of inside of, you're going to see that a lot inside of, you're going to see that in Google Analytics. Okay, now if I go here into Facebook ads, I'm going to show you that you're going to see this everywhere you turn, right? Everywhere you turn. What do we see? We'll see impression, and then we'll see link clicks, right? Impression, and then we'll see link clicks. How is that? Impressions, link clicks. If I click this, let's see, customize columns. You see some other metrics that we like to measure, right? Reach. What is reach? What is reach? Reach is gonna come up on many advertising platforms. Okay. Reach is how many people, individual people that was able to see your content. Okay, I'm gonna put that right here. Okay, what is the difference between reach and impression? They're very similar, but they're different. What's the difference? What's the difference? Reach is how many unique impressions. So if that person has seen the ad or your video or just a thumbnail of your video or any piece of online content that you have, they've seen it 5 times, they only count to 1. So unique impressions is called reach. It just tells you how many people your content has reached. Okay, very simple. Well, simple, not necessarily easy, right? IRCULS. These are the basic metrics that you're going to see a lot more. We're going to be measuring these numbers. We're going to be manipulating these numbers. We're going to be using them to improve progress and results. We're going to be celebrating before we actually see sales, because if you do good on impression, then all you have to do is make sure it turns to clicks, right? All you have to do with the clicks is get the clicks to turn to leads. And all you have to do is get those leads to turn to sales, right? We're also able to, we can track and troubleshoot. We can track and troubleshoot easily, okay? So for example, you may say, hey, I'm not getting any leads in my business. My next question will be, how many clicks are you getting into the business? You may say, Ola, I'm not getting any traffic. Well, how many times has anybody seen your content? I can literally go in my Facebook and I can see here that 105 people have seen this ad, but I can see that nobody is clicking on it. But I can see that 147 have seen this, but 3 people have clicked on this, right? I'm able to see results. And I can see the clicks. I can say, okay, the clicks is not turning to leads. Maybe there's a missing target somewhere. Maybe the audience is not interested. Who knows, right? Bottom line is that I can measure, I can track, and I can improve on what's going on in my business just because I can see these numbers. All right. Okay, so that's that right there. So I want you to play around with some of this stuff, okay? I want you to start playing, because again, when you play around with this stuff, you learn more. Okay? When you play around with it, you learn more. Okay, so today I actually took you into a Facebook ads platform for the first time. Okay, we're going to be playing around with that a lot more over time. Okay, so look out for that. Okay. Now, your homework, okay? I want you to make sure that you have a Gmail account, okay? I want you to make sure you have a Gmail account, because you're going to be using it to access. You're going to be using it to access Google Search Console, okay? Okay. And also, you're going to be using the same. A Gmail account is essentially a Google account, right? I learned a long time ago to stop assuming that everyone has this account. Make sure you have one ready. Okay, and then Google Analytics. just search for it and then log in and go through the start processes. Okay, so this is what you're gonna see. This is what you're going to see. Let me show you what you're going to see. Of course, first you want to go to gmail.com. You will see something like this. You want to create an account, right? Like this right here. You want to create an account. Once you do that, you search for Google Search Console. Is the first thing that pops up. You click into it and you want to click Start Now. It will ask you to log in with your Gmail account. Okay. Now, there's a good chance you don't have a website yet or you don't have it set up. Just log in and follow through. Once it gets to the point it's asking you to enter website address and you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just have the account standby ready to go. Okay. The other thing I want you to do is Google Analytics. Okay. Google Analytics, you go here, you click into it. Same thing. They're all owned by Google. Okay. All owned by Google. All right. So the other place I want you to go to, let me just make sure that I'm hiding this. Okay. Facebook ads. Okay. Facebook ads. You want to go to business.facebook.com and follow, log in here and explore it. Okay. Okay. If you don't have a Facebook account yet, just create one. Okay. With the same email address. Keep everything the same. Okay. So it's easier for you to remember. In addition to that, write them down somewhere. Okay. All right. There's this link right here that says Meta. Facebook is now known as Meta, just so you know. Okay. Meta. There's something called Meta Business Suite and Meta Business Manager. I want you to explore them. Okay. Like I said, log in, create an account. Okay. So you will click Meta, and if you click that, it basically will teach you all the kind of things that are possible. I will be teaching you how to use this stuff. Okay. Anytime you see anything called insights and trends, you couldn't know what they're talking about unless you've gone through this class we just did. You know what that means. You know what impressions are. You know what reach is. You know what clicks are. You know what users are. You know what leads are. You know what sales are, right? Once you know those things, then you can talk about insight. Okay. But I still want you to explore this nonetheless. Okay. Okay, these are your own work. I'm telling with you right now. If I go back for a second here, there's another place here called the Meta Business Manager. Okay. And it also tells you more about the different tools in Facebook that we use for our business and stuff like that. So, but it helps you really understand the YouTube marketing almost at an enterprise level that you will need anyway at some point. Okay. But first thing first, create an account or log into your Facebook here, and let's get you familiar with some of the systems. Okay. So right there you have Google Search Console, Google Analytics, and Google and Facebook ads. So I'm going to put here Meta because I want you to get familiar. Eventually, I think they're going to replace their name with Meta. Okay. So they have what they call the business suites. They have the business manager. Under the business manager is the ads manager and things like that. Okay. Let's see here. Is that making sense? That's your homework for today. Okay, that's your homework. Now let me get back into analytics here and show you some other cool stuff that we'll probably be exploring over the next few classes. Okay. All right. Once you set up your hub, aka website, all of this will come together and start making better sense. Okay. All right. So if I go under real time, under audience overview, right? All right, so under the overview, you can see a little bit more of some of the basic metrics. Like I said earlier, users, new users, sessions, right? I think this is off of 28 days. Let's see, 28 days, it looks like, yeah. So we have 243 users. Is this 28 days? No, this is only last few days. This is only 7 days. So let's put this on 30 days, right? And apply. All right, so this is more like it. 1,000 users. 1,000 new users, right? And 1,434. Now, one of the things we're going to be working on right now is getting this numbers should be much more bigger, than this number. New users means people coming back. Well, we want them coming back, but we're going to see more of that, right? But you can see the number of sessions here is a lot more, right? 1,400, right? But it tells us here that an average user is coming 1.3 times. That number needs to be 3 or 4 or 5, right? All right, and then we have the page views. Of course, there's multiple pages on the website, right? So that number is 2.5 times the number of users, right? Because people are visiting more pages, right? And then you have pages per session, right? That number needs to be better. We see people on an average are spending 2 minutes on the website, but there are people that are discovering for the first time. There are also people that are going through their training and everything in between, right? So it's an average. And then the bounce rate is how many people, right? See that the percentage of single page sessions in which there was no interaction with the page. Basically, they opened the page and they clicked back and went back to wherever they were coming from, right? We can also work on that number to make it less, right? So you can see that. So those are the reasons why we're covering the basics of metrics for you, because we'll be looking at these numbers to make sure we're not wasting our time, right? So if I go into let me just go into studio here of YouTube, you can see similar, slightly different, but similar, similar numbers. If you go into the analytics, like this YouTube channel is the worst, but let me show you one that has better numbers just for the fun of it, right? Let's go into Meta Prestige. All right, so let's look at this, right? Okay, so if I go into analytics, BA is very similar, right? You can see here that if I go under content, we have views. That's like the equivalent of clicks. Under analytics or users in analytics, in Facebook, you see that's clicks, right? Equivalent, right? But you can see impressions. 210,000 people actually saw a thumbnail. Only 18,000 people clicked on it, right? Then if you do that math, views divided by impressions, you have 6.3%, right? So it gives you numbers, right? When it comes to video marketing, we're going to start looking into numbers like average view duration, right? But we also know, like I told you earlier, but we like to look at percentages, right? So if you go here, average percentage viewed, we can see some more percentage numbers, right? Again, views, aka clicks. Again, subscribers, how many users, right? These are the numbers that we're going to be using, right? But it all starts with what? It all starts from impressions, reach, clicks, users, okay, leads, and sales. Does that make sense? That's where it all starts from. If you don't know any of this, all of this is going to be more complicated. So here's what I want you to do as part of your homework. I want you to hover on anything that looks strange on any of this page, especially if you see a question mark, right? Hover on it, right? And learn more about it. Get used to it. When you hover, you discover more. When you hover on user, it tells you what users are, right? So yours is probably going to be empty because there's no website. Yes, there's no website in there. But you're going to see stuff you can hover on that you can learn more about. Okay. Now I want you to take some notes, right? And then send in your homework. Just send in a summary. Send in a 25 to 50 word summary, okay, of what you learned. And then we'll take it from there. If you have any questions, you can of course send it with your homework as well. Okay, 25 to 50 words summary. All right, of what you've learned, right? But today, what I want you to focus on, if you're going to go ahead and Google some of these terminologies too, what I want you to focus is get familiar with all 6 of these different metrics. Okay. Impression reach, clicks, users, leads, and sales. I'll just get familiar with them. We start with 1, right? There are 5 transitions from one stage to the other here. How do you get impressions to become how do you get impressions to become clicks? How do you get clicks to become leads? How do you get leads to become sales? Okay, those 3 transitions is basically how you make money online. Okay, let me just put that here just in case you want to take a screenshot. Okay, by the way, feel free to pause these videos and take screenshots. Okay, from I to C, right? From C to leads, then from leads to sales. All right, those 3 transitions is critical. We have to, if we don't figure this out, it's pointless figuring this out. We need to look at this. What does that mean? That means impressions to clicks. A lot of people are seeing your ads, they're seeing your content, but they're not clicking. What is the click-through rate? We're going to be covering that in the next class. Okay, so you're going to see us cover click-through rate. It's a percentage number, cost per lead. All right, cost per lead, but also lead conversion rate. Okay, sales conversion rate, cost per sale. All right, in other places they call them cost per action. We're also going to cover those. Okay, so those are the critical transitions that we're going to be covering. One of the problems why people suffer in their business in digital marketing is that they're like, oh, how come I'm not getting sales? I'm like, okay, let's see how many leads you're getting. Right? Well, I'm not getting any leads. Well, let's see how many clicks you're getting. Well, I'm not getting any clicks. Let's see, how many impressions are you getting? Does that make sense? So that's how that works. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Please make sure you take care of the homework. Don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on it. The homework, you're going to learn 3 times what you've learned right now from participating in the homework. Just by participating in the homework, okay? You're going to learn 3 times, 3x what you learned right now. So don't miss out on that. Please don't miss out on that, all right? All right, so next week we'll be talking about digital marketing analytics. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper into some numbers, show you how that works, how to use it to improve our results in real time, all right? Hopefully you'll be enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.